What's up? I just turned off my Coords out of respect for this base. I'm only going to release this video if this ends up getting griefed. So, let me kind of give you an idea where we are right now. I'm working on another build here with some friends I met at this base. And, yeah, you might know where we are if you watch BarrenDome. Again, I'm not gonna reveal the Coords. Even if this is griefed, I would want the ruins to stay here. But this is BarrenDome's BoneSpire base. I found this completely by accident, by base hunting, going through the overworld, through the nether. Followed an overworld chunk trail for about 500,000 blocks. Ended nowhere. I went through the nether and I ended up coming here, completely by chance. As you can see, there's a lot of work that's been done here. A lot of builds. Little tree farm here. You've got this statue. And inside the statue is a little dupe stash. The guys that got here before me, they moved most of this stuff. They moved all the TNT away because they didn't want BarrenDome to come here and have easy access to TNT if he was going to blow everything up. So they moved everything in anticipation. Those are unloaded. That's why they look like that. They moved everything in anticipation for him coming to grief his own base. But we've since messaged him, and right now he doesn't have any plans to do that. He's totally fine with us staying here and building. But you come down here, you see, you've probably seen this before, BoneSpire, BarrenDome, and this is on 2b2t. This is 2b2t.org. This is live. But this is his base, and we're here right now. And it's in pristine condition. There hasn't been any griefing. These tools are still here. The people that got here before me have pretty much the same mentality. We're not going to grief this. We don't want to remove that. That's an item frame I forgot to remove. You see, wrote a book to him. OJuicy did. This was the first guy that found his base. He actually found it by following an overworld chunk trail. I found it through a nether chunk trail, so it was found through both dimensions. A little book I wrote to him. It was about 20 pages long. You see, he probably had pig spawners in here at one point. Obviously, they've been removed. The map art was likely cleared. But you've got, he had a bed in here at one point, but not anymore. I think this may have been a work in progress, that room. Got some more stuff here. Little lights. Morbid's room. This is a guy that he would base with, right? And he's got his own stuff in here. Building materials, TNT that they forgot to move, gapples, you know, just basic stuff that you'd find at really any base. Bottles of enchanting, pistons. Yeah, this is where they kept all their stuff. This is where they live. Obviously, you know, they probably somewhere else right now, but significant amount of work was put into this base. See, right here. And the funny thing is through the nether, this is actually connected to Hammerbeam 2.0. You see Hammerknot was here. And they had some kind of armory there at one point. A little concrete thing here. I don't exactly really need to use this right now. But that's where you'd make your concrete. He's got a little flower thing here. And you would, you know, put shit there. You got bone blocks for the bone meal there with the flowers. And we are using that for our build. He's got a little slime buddy there. Obviously it's got a name tag so it will never despawn. Basic cactus farm. Chicken farm. And this is all probably stuff you've seen in his videos, but you're seeing it here live. See all this cool stuff. Cocoa. Little mushroom farm. There's really cool stuff here. He's got basically every farm you would need to survive. An enchanting room, you know, all sorts of books. A lot of the level 5 books and a lot of the level 4 books he actually moved into these right here. You see, Blast 4, Efficiency 5, Mending, Unbreaking 3. Most of the good shit is in these shulker boxes right here. And then you've got various enchants right here. So he's done a lot of enchanting here. Basic bottom enchanting, you know. Go down here, this is a little resource room. Fishing rods, mine carts, lava buckets, oak leaves, just basically everything was here. And obviously this is some stuff that we've been pulled out and using. Had to take one of these to write our books. Had to get an item frame to put the book in. A little brewing station. Thing of XP bottles. More bones. You know, just really basic stuff that you'd find at any base. And this is what turns on this beacon right here. So if I flip this switch, you'll see that the beacon turns off. But we like to keep it on. Another dupe room. Just a ton of shit. He's actually got extra dupes in here. You got stuff like sand, glass, ender chests, and just a ton of stuff. Survival boxes, mob heads. Most of the stuff in there should still be there. Yeah, I think everything in there is still there. Nether rack. Had to use a lot of these shulker boxes because I had to fill in my nether tunnel. Obviously I don't want this place to be found, so I backfilled my tracks. I wasn't anticipating finding this base, so I wasn't exactly safe with the way I tunneled, but I've since cleaned all that up. Shouldn't really have any issues. AFK fish farm. Again, like this is on 2B2T. And let me show you probably the coolest and potentially the rarest thing on this server. And you might think I'm talking about this charged creeper. While this is cool, and it's definitely awe-inspiring that you're just looking at a trapped charged creeper, you can see he's got villagers here. But if you go back here, and they're fairly hidden away for good reason. Even if this entire place was blown up, they would still have a chance to not be killed. Villagers back here are probably the most valuable villagers on the server, right? In comparison to regular villagers, right? So I'm gonna turn around, and if you play on the server, you'll know what you're seeing and you'll know why it's pretty significant. If you don't, I'll explain it. But let's go ahead and take a look. So, you probably know who that is. That is Pop Bob's head. These are player heads that BarrenDome put on villagers. So, if you were to try to load a chest with player heads in them, they wouldn't be there. They disappear. If you try to place a player head, you couldn't, because the moment it's in your inventory, it's gone. Player heads don't drop anymore. There are no more player heads obtainable. But he had the foresight to put these player heads on these villagers. So these are forever here. The only way that these could be deleted would be if this place was griefed. These are player heads on villagers. That is Pop Bob. Not sure about that one. That's just, you know, little slime thing. This is Housemaster, which I think is probably the coolest head. Big fan of this one. You know, the trades are pretty hot garbage, but that's fine. Not too sure about that. I'm really bad with faces. You know, how do you forget Pop Bob and Housemaster? You see that all over the place. But this is, I think, this is the coolest thing about the base, are the player heads on the villagers. Take you around to somewhere else real quick. And this base is way the fuck out here. It's way out here. Like I said, I'm not going to give Coords. I'm not going to do any of that. But just know that the fact that I found this is pretty astonishing. Just the sheer numbers required. Like, the possibility of me finding this was basically impossible. And it happened. And it's just really fucking cool that I'm here, dude. We're working on making false nether trails in the nether. We're gonna make fake portals and generate chunk trails all over the place to try and throw off any explorers, because we don't want this place to be found by anyone else. The fact that 2 separate people have found it within 3 days of each other is somewhat worrying, especially since one found it through the overworld and one found it through the nether. Maybe the guy that found it through the nether. But this was BoneSpire, and I recorded this May 27th of 2020. This base is over 3 years old. This base has been here for a long time, and it's been holding all of these secrets, all these valuables. And our plan is to keep it here as long as possible. And like I said, if you are watching this video, that means this base has been griefed. So, you know, you can terrain exploit all you want. You're not going to be the guy that gets block game clout for griefing BarrenDome space. And here is the actual BoneSpire. Little castle build. And it's not just an empty building, like there's stuff you can do in here. If you flip this switch, it turns off the beacons. Flip it again, and they're back. And I just think this is so cool right here. Look at that. There is an upper level. Not sure how you get up there from down here. You take the stairs, right? You see, it looks kind of like an abandoned library almost, like a wizard's brewing station, an alchemist. Go up here even more. There's just a lot of detail that was put into this base. Yeah. And somewhat worrying is there's another portal there, but maybe it's never been activated. At some point, I'm gonna go back through the nether / kill and, you know, disable the portals over there, delete all the obsidian, fill in the tunnels there, connecting Hammerbeam, and probably, I don't know about connecting the portals, like that tunnel that connects Hammerbeam. I can show you here. Let me take you over to Hammerbeam. So right here is his portal room. Down there, a lot of the stuff down here is vacant. There's not really much down there. And if I go up here, you can actually see where we are in the nether, and you can see this tunnel that connects the 2 bases. But up here is where I was tunneling at Y121, and that's all gone. It's all been filled in. There's no trace of that. The only thing is this very tiny, well, I wouldn't say tiny, it's very low in the ground. Like, a lot of people when they're traveling through the nether, they don't normally free cam and look down in the ground. But we go this way. New location, meaning Hammerbeam location, so we'll just quickly head over there. It's actually a really far fly, you know, all things considered. But it doesn't take that long. Obviously, when you're using an elytra and you've got an open path in front of you like this. But let's go check it out. This tunnel is about, I want to say 8,000 to 10,000 blocks long. And the funny thing is, is I didn't find BarrenDome's base first. I ended up digging past it, and the only reason I found it was because my portal tracers went off for the Hammerbeam portal that you're going to see up here. So I didn't even know about BarrenDome's base first. I thought I just found Hammerbeam. It was only after I went down this tunnel and went to that other base that I was like, oh my god, this is BarrenDome's base. And obviously that's where I found 42A. And I thought, oh shit, that might be BarrenDome's alt. No, it was another group of people that found this on their own. They're the Romans. They're a group of builders, very peaceful players. They don't grief. And they only let the cream of the crop of their group know about this place. So I think only like 5 or 6 other people were involved, not including me. But at the time of recording, I've met 3 separate people from their group at that base. I've physically seen 3 separate people from their group at that base. But yeah, you can see they went all the way down here with this tunnel. And we're flying at 129 kilometers an hour. It was a long tunnel. And I had to fill in this entire length of tunnel. But it was a 1x2 tunnel, right? When you're just going through the nether, I had to fill all that shit in. But that's because, you know, I care about this base. I don't want it to get found again. I'm happy I was able to find it in the condition I found it in, which is pristine. And, you know, it's even cooler that there were people there that had the same intentions. They're not going to blow it up. Because I'd been flying all over the place, following chunk trails and finding bases and stashes, and it's all been by myself, no one to talk to. And now I've finally found people that are doing the same shit I am, and we ended up at the exact same location. I mean, the odds of that are just so tiny. Like, I don't know, it still amazes me. I'm still thinking about it. This is a long tunnel. I mean, it is a really, really long tunnel. Obviously, you can't see the coordinates, but keep in mind, I'm basically flying as fast as you can on the server without getting kicked, as far as I know. And right here is actually where I pillared down when I was filling in my tunnel up here. I pillared up, rather, and you see there's nothing here anymore, so I can go ahead and remove that. So now I know we're somewhat close, maybe a little over halfway. Oh, there we are, perfect. So right here is the entrance to Hammerbeam. So we'll go through this portal. So here we come into this little area. And I'll show you the coolest thing about the base first, because this is still under construction. If you don't know anything about Hammerbeam, what are you doing here? Wait a minute. He's aggressive. If you don't know anything about Hammerbeam, the first Hammerbeam was actually griefed. So this is Hammerbeam 2.0, but they're just calling it Hammerbeam. But you can see this big cavern that I think they started with using TNT because they have shulker boxes in that double chest right there. So they TNT'd this, and then I think they went and edited it finally with their pickaxes using the beacon. Going to free cam here though, you see that the big H and this really detailed art using a lot of glass. We'll actually go this way first and work our way back. So right here, my Coords mine's land is going to be his mansion. He actually built a little mansion over this way. That's where I'll take you first, but while we're on the way there, you can see here several sets of armor. They have a little zombie grinder right here. Haven't really tried to use that. Up here, oh, terraforming been done. And this is still work in progress stuff. And that's where we're headed, is up there. To his mansion. And this goes directly into it. And, you know, it's a pretty good build. Still a work in progress, obviously. I don't know if they're still active. I looked up their YouTube channel. They haven't been on the server in a while. But you can see here, I don't know exactly what all this means. It's kind of cryptic. There's a lot of stuff here. Yeah, you can see, obviously, this was not done. And they could still come back anytime and continue working on it. Like, this isn't like they just, this is the final state of the mansion. It's not even done, right? Like, the roof isn't done yet. So there's still work to be done, and I'm pretty sure they may come back at some point and finish it up. Over here we've got a little sheep farm and fishing shack. GPS is somewhat terrible right now, so, well, not really terrible. 11's not bad, but chunk loading is kind of shit at the moment. Nice server house. Little basic fishing shack. You come out here and fish, and then you go in here. You got a little sheep farm, some wool. But yeah, we actually thought at first maybe there was like a cover up, like maybe Hammerbeam wasn't actually griefed. That's what they thought at first. The guys that I found at BarrenDome's base were like, they didn't go over here. Like they didn't explore this area. It was funny because like the first place they explored and found was BarrenDome's base, and the first thing I did was explore this because this was the first thing I found. So we ended up finding different things first and exploring it. So I was somewhat familiar with this, and they were familiar with BarrenDome's base. So they showed me all the cool shit there, like the villagers with the player heads, and I showed them everything here. You can see the sign I left. They've got unbreakable kits, and these are some. I've got a ton of wooden slabs like this, so I needed to make some room for some other shit. I took one of these kits, and you can see. I turn on this ESP search. Hold on. Alright, there we go. My bad. Sorry, I was, that build we're using Schematica, so we know where to put shit. So, just had to turn that off real quick. But you see the names of the players that were here. Hammerzilla, Squidwurst. This is the only reference to Squidwurst I see, so I'm not too sure who that is. But Casual MC, right there, that is actually how I found out that this was Hammerbeam. Well, obviously, you know, you see the kit name, you figure out it's Hammerbeam, but that's where I learned about the first Hammerbeam. I looked up Casual MC and found him, and I watched a few of his videos. Pretty good. But there's really not a whole lot here at Hammerbeam right now, because this isn't the original Hammerbeam. This is Hammerbeam 2.0. It's still under construction, and obviously they're not playing right now, so no work is getting done. But whenever they decide to return, hopefully it'll still be here intact, so that they can continue. But you see, they did a lot of terraforming, done a lot of work. And down here is, I don't know about the validity of this sign. I was thinking maybe he did like a typo, like he meant to type 8, but he put a 4. I kind of doubt he was here on 2014, but you never know, right? And he calls this Coords Mine's Redneck Hideaway. That's where he set a spawn at one point. And you've got another shulker box down here, which is just this little place. This is their little highway that goes to a grinder, which isn't there. Hammerbeam, zombie grinder, and that's shit that I already showed you. So yeah, there's not a ton of stuff here, because it was still under construction. They spent a lot of time at BarrenDome's base, and BarrenDome actually went to the first Hammerbeam. So I guess after they got griefed, he's like, yeah, come here, you guys can build a base, come hang out with me. And they ended up tunneling off a few thousand blocks away from his base and found this really cool looking spot. I mean, this is a fuck house, dude. Stupid fucking plugins. Why are you making flight so inconvenient for me? It's like actually annoying. Well, you see the terrain here is really nice. I'm a big fan of this terrain. I like these tall mountains. So they picked a really good spot to build. And whenever they decide to come back, you know, hopefully they can continue and bring Hammerbeam back. But yeah, dude, like, it's really cool. Like I said, there's really not a whole lot to show you here at Hammerbeam. It's not as developed as the BoneSpire, the BarrenDome built. But yeah, like that's what I found. This is on 2b2t. Like, this is live 2b2t.org. It's not a single player server. Single player worlds, none of that. Like, this isn't fake. This is 100%. This is 2b2t. And we're here right now looking at all this in pristine condition. No griefers have come. The only people that have found these places, are builders, people that want to preserve things like the villagers with the player heads. That's what I'm mainly interested in. I want to keep that there. And really just decent people. Don't really consider griefers good people per se. I understand if you're doing a revenge grief, but you know, just to come and find shit like this and your first thought is, oh my god, I'm gonna grief it and leak the Coords and get all the block game clout, like, that's kind of cringe. And the guys that found it before me aren't like that, and I'm not like that, so we're pretty cool with each other. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Like, that's it. That's what we found. Again, like the way I found it, I've followed a 500,000 long narrow ass chunk trail in the overworld, and it ended in the middle of an ocean. Like, there was no trail. It was done. I reached the end of the rainbow, and there was no pot of gold at the end. So I ended up just making a portal and going to the nether, and lo and behold, every single turn I made, every place I flew to, flying in the open nether, led me to the chunk trail that BarrenDome went to come to this base for the first time. I followed the exact steps that he took unknowingly. And unbeknownst to me, you know, I passed it. at first and ended up at Hammerbeam. But, you know, by following this tunnel, I did end up finding BarrenDome's base naturally, on my own. The Coords were not given to me. Nobody gave me a hint. It was purely by accident. It was a coincidence. And what is even more astounding to me is the fact that I found a signed book from him out in the middle of nowhere. Again, the Coords weren't given to me. No hints. I just found a signed book, and I'll actually show you that before I end this recording. I think he picked up some negative items from some location, and he ended up leaving a signed book there. And I could probably show you the screenshot if I remember to edit it in, and I don't just upload the raw video of this to YouTube. But it's in my shulker box of collectibles in my e-chest, so I'll have to go get that to show you. But yeah, that was a day before I found his base. And it was over, I mean, it was over 1 million blocks away from where his base was. So I went from finding a signed book to finding the base. And I'm not trying to stroke my cock too much. I am just, it's amazing to me how everything fell into place perfectly for this to happen. I find the signed book, I find his base. The people that found it before me aren't griefers, they're builders, and we're actively building something there right now. And we're using his materials to build. I don't think he has a problem with that. I would hope not. We've already messaged him. We've been in contact with him. He knows we're here. He knows we're at his base. He knows it's been found. But he also knows that we are actively working to protect it. He knows that I went and filled in the tunnel that I made to get here. He knows that I plan to make false chunk trails and tunnels in the nether, make nether portals and try to throw people off. He knows that there are people here working actively to protect this base. But the builds that we're doing there, almost all of the materials we're using are already there, because he's got basically every block in the game at his base that he's due to the 9th degree. So I mean, we've got pretty much an unlimited amount of building supplies. Oops. And like I said, this tunnel up here, there actually isn't. There's really nothing here. There's, like, I understand you want me to go down here and look, but I'm telling you, there's nothing here. And just to sate you, I will fly down here. But I've already explored these areas. There's really nothing here. You're not missing anything by me not showing you this. You see, this is another long tunnel. They love their long nether tunnels. So here we are. Portal 2. There's nothing there. This sign is not lying to you. These signs are not lying to you. There's nothing here. There's absolutely nothing down these two. There's a work in progress. And down here, I think it actually just ends if you keep going further. Down here, there's going to be more signs. You see portals right here. I will actually take you to those portals if you want to see what's through there. You see it's obviously a little beat up. This is a work in progress. Here's a portal. Don't really want to light it. I'm telling you now, there's nothing over here. You're not missing anything. We'll go to the other one. But obviously, these items on the ground are safety hazards, so a part of keeping the base secure is I'm going to come back through here, pick all this junk up off the floor, put it in a box. Mainly just get it off the floor so that you don't see it with your ESP. And there it is. I'm pretty sure he just used these to get like additional building supplies. And I can already tell that I may regret not showing you what's through these portals. So I'm actually just going to go back on what I said literally like a minute ago. And I'll see if I can't find a flint and steel. Let me see. Just to make sure I don't get trapped out here on the other side. Oh wait, no, it generates a portal. What am I talking about? Yeah, so right here, there's nothing. These are new chunks. And it's the same story for the other one. I'm not going to go back through the other portal. I'm actually going to dismantle this portal right now because it is a serious security hazard. Because if you put your search blocks on for portal and not obsidian, you won't see these inactive nether portals. But if you're coming out this far to hunt for bases, you likely do have your search blocks turned on for obsidian if you're hunting through the nether, because obsidian doesn't naturally occur in the nether. So you know that if your search blocks goes off for obsidian, that there's something going on there. And then I need to leave a sign that there is a portal on the other side that needs to be disabled. Oh, hold on. Let me show you this actually. Hold on. I think it's in this one. Yeah, there's the book. Thank You for Finding Me by BarrenDome original. Thanks for the negative items. I need to get some context on that from him if I ever get the chance. Yeah, that stays in slot 1. And obviously when I come back, I'm going to remove the ender chest. But for the immediate moment, that is not our priority. Obviously, you know, we are very concerned about the fact that 2 separate people have found this base within 3 days. But it could just be a coincidence. Like, in a world of infinite possibilities, the fact that this happened shouldn't be too surprising. And I'm just going to leave it like that. But Doesn't hurt to check. Yep, those are new chunks. You can tell because it did the load animation or the load sound, and it didn't do anything. So there's nothing new over here. And I don't want to create another portal. And again, I'm not griefing right now. If anything, I'm protecting the base by removing these portals. I've already talked to the other guys that are here with me. They know what I'm doing. They know my plan. So me removing blocks from his base is protecting it. Obviously, when I come back and when I'm doing the slash kill thing, I'm going to what do you call it? I'm gonna come pick up all this shit. I will be removing the overworld portals. We're gonna make sure that everything is removed and put back to how it should be to make sure that it's not so easy to find. But yeah, that's BarrenDome's base. Like, there it is. You saw it. You got to see what I saw when I found it. And there's really not much more to say. I just want to state again how incredible it is that I stumbled upon this. Like, listen, I understand that this is just a block game. You know, it's just a children's block game. But, you know, he's my favorite 2B2T content creator. And just the sheer amount of distance that I had to travel to get here. And, like, I went the exact perfect way to find it. And there was another group here that found it 3 days earlier. I don't know, man. Like, you'd really have to be in my head to know just how incredible this is. And you probably can appreciate it. And if you can, that's great. I'm not trying to stroke my own cock. It's just, I'm just so amazed at how everything turned out. And you see up here, there actually used to be like a lot of tunnels going down. They were digging in, and it was very obvious that there had been player activity from the surface, but I went ahead and removed all that and filled it back in. I basically just go back through this portal, and here we are. BarrenDome space. These chests right here actually were in the nether. And you see, it's just a bunch of dye. All this is full of dye. There's a shit ton of dye. That's it, dude. And, you know, I know if you're part of the tracer gang, you probably like to see the tracers for the chests. So let's assume this is a dupe stash. Could you imagine? Look at that. Instant dopamine release. Tracer gang. I'll take a screenshot. I mean, just imagine, dude. Coming across that. Wouldn't that be cool? I'll actually show you the inside of this. There's some cool stuff in here. Oh yeah, over here is his iron farm. You may have seen this in one of his videos. He had one video when he was at Hammerbeam of their iron farm. I haven't personally seen an iron golem here yet. Don't really know where it is. But you can also see where what happens to the villagers when they're born. Let me try to go back to it. Where is it? So down here, the golem would spawn and he'd fall into the lava and he would die. But I think the villagers would actually go under that. They'd fall down here and they'd end up here. And they would end up in a system like this that would fill they would fill up a spot here. You see that? And he put ice over guys that he doesn't want to replace. And that's how he made his little villager breeder, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I haven't actually seen a, wait a minute. Hold on. I have not, I think that might be where they're getting snowballs. Yeah, hold on. I think that's an alpha snowball generator. Because I was gifted some alpha snowballs from one of the guys here. They were like, hey, it's pretty cool, you know, you're not going to grief the base, you can work with us. And they gave me like 16 alpha snowballs. But if that is where you can get alpha snowballs, probably need to get some more. Don't know how to get in here though without breaking anything. I could just go on that side. Yeah. Here, let's do that. I'm going to grief the base real quick. Okay, so here's this. I think this may just be regular snow. Let me check. Yeah, okay, so these are not alpha snowballs. These are just regular. So, never mind. Put this back. Oh shit, wrong way. Such a griefer. But yeah, man, that's it. And I think the last thing there is to show you, other than what we're working on, is Teleporter Island. Let's see, Teleporter Island, and pretty cool. So this is where they would put their ender pearls into stasis. When we got here, these were actually still active. There weren't pearls, but I think what happened is Housemaster's plugins ended up breaking this, because you can see how these sticky pistons were just on the floor when I got here. Can't actually put it back. Kinda sucks. Like if I go here and turn this on, maybe it'll work. Yeah. You see how it does that? And that would actually keep the portal bouncing up and down, or the ender pearl, so that they could come back anytime they want. But obviously Housemaster's plugins, if there's too many redstone updates, what'll end up happening is it'll actually break the redstone, causing all the updates. But I kind of want to just put this back how it was real quick. I didn't know that it broke like that. Happy I turned my ESP back on. But yeah, setting pearls like that best form of travel. Like you got someone to load pearls for you. They could just come back and forth between a stash or wherever, as long as you've got someone there to pull the trigger on your pearl. Basically just go back and forth between your base and wherever you are. You know, they got extra pearls here. Obsidian, all that. Random potato. More pearls probably. And stuff to build what this is, you know, tons of shit. So let me actually show you what we're working on real quick. This is a little house built by 42A. He was working on this when I found him. I came through the portal and my player tracer immediately picked him up. It was very surreal. I'd never seen someone out that far. Or I'd never even found a base and then found someone there. But this, don't mind this, that's just scaffolding. We're working on a little build that commemorates something that the Romans had. that got griefed. I can load the schematic for you so you can see what we're going for, but that's what we've got so far. I've mainly worked on, I did almost all of this, not done up to the pillars, and then I've done a significant amount of work on this. But if I load the schematic for you, you'll actually see what we're going for. And I can't use free cam for whatever reason. I have to actually fly around to show you this. But this is going to be pretty cool. You see, we got a lot of these floating islands and very aesthetic. Don't mind the fact that this is red for some reason. When they made the schematic for this, the stone he used was the monster spawner stone, you know, the stuff that spawns silverfish. So that is the correct block. But yeah, this is going to be really cool when we're done with it. It'll be a nice addition to the base, I think. Take you to the top level here. I don't have my fireworks on me right now. Like, my inventory is basically just set up to build this. I put all my shulker boxes in a little secret location. Because, you know, I have a little bit of trust in these guys, but I don't want to just give them all my shit, right? And I'm sure we're going to put some more shit up here. This is not the final product. We just want to get this built and get the skeleton done. But, yeah, that's it. That's BarrenDome's base. That is it in the flesh, in the blood, live on tubi2t.org, recorded by me. Gold Bagel in the game. Please give me clout. You see a little library here he made inside the statue. Tons of work was put into this. Yeah, hope y'all enjoyed that little tour. Like I said, by the time you see this video, if you see it, that means this base has been griefed. So, I'm not putting the safety of this base in jeopardy by releasing this video. If you see it, it's gone. It's all gone. It's been griefed. And if you want to be a nerd and take the time to terrain exploit to find some ruins, be my guest. Do what you want. But I'm not ever going to tell you the Coords. Never going to tell anyone that doesn't already know. And I will not release this as long as the base is standing. So with that being said, hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to get back to work on our monument. Bye.